Rustem Abdrash is a well-known film director, artist and screenwriter. He has made a number of fascinating films as Gift to Stalin, Kurak Korpe, Leader's Way and Kazakh Khanate. He's the only film director in Kazakhstan who was awarded the Asian NETPAC and the European FIPRESCI prizes. Many of his works have won major awards at international festivals. Today, in the Culture Talks program, we will talk about the art of cinema with the honored worker of Kazakhstan, Rustem Abdrash.
Ердің жасы 50-ге келдіңіз ғой?
You have turned 50. What conclusion have you come to this milestone regarding personal life and art?
Әлде болса қорамсатта оқ бар, Құдайға шүкір. Алда қойылған мақсат бар. Әлде талай рет жебемізді тартып.
There is still gunpowder in the flask, thank God. I have some plans for the future, and I think I'm still able to reach new heights and set high goals. Therefore, it is too early to evaluate yourself or draw conclusions. I want to push forward more than look back. Personally, I cannot say that I am dissatisfied with my work. Each of my movies has its own history. They are different. They were created in different ways and have own place. As an artist, I created every film with love, be it Leader's Way or Kazakh Khanate. Even if it was a state order and money was allocated for it, I created it from the bottom of my heart and tried to define my civic position. I have never tried to compromise to please anyone. I did everything sincerely. As an artist, my conscience is clear. I can answer for each of my films.
Siz tarixi filmler түсіріп жүргендер.
You make historical films. What difficulties did you face in this genre?
Тарихи кинолар жасаған кезде ең негізгі қиыншылық сол тарихи заманды қайтадан тірілту. Оны тірілту үшін көптеген ең бастан бастап.
The most challenging thing is to revive the historical era. When the screenplay is ready, the artists read it and begin to recreate the atmosphere of that time, clothes, objects of architecture and the scenery of each episode. Therefore, I think that the most difficult thing in historical films is precisely this: to show the life of a certain era, to create a story out of nothing.
Сондықтан тарихи киноның ең қиын жері сол деп ойлаймын, өйткені сол заманды қайтадан жоқтан бар қылып, қайтадан тірілтіп жасап шығару. Себебі егер кадрдың ішінде кейде.
However, sometimes while watching historical films, you notice movie bloopers. For example, an airplane flies in the background, and the viewer notices this and says that there were no airplanes in the 12th century. For example, when we were filming the film epic Leader's Way, we recreated the events of the 50s. Filming took place in Dnepro-Dzerzhinsk and Temirtau. Some episodes were filmed in the city, and there were signs, advertisements, satellite dishes in the shot. Therefore, we had to carefully review the filmed material and edit it. This is the main difficulty of historical movies, to recreate that time and make the viewer believe. The film Kazakh Khanate is one of your most difficult works. Do you think you managed to make the viewer believe?
Енді шынын айту керек, өте күрделі жоба, біраз.
Yes, indeed, it was a very difficult project. Before starting filming process, it was necessary to investigate many historical facts. Ancient traditional Kazakh termer and Joly have brought us a lot of benefits, starting from the times of Aktamberdi Jirau and Kastugan. And when you listen to the sounds of Dombra and termer performed by Bekbolat, Tleo Khan or others, you really plunge into the atmosphere of that time. Therefore, when we wrote the movie script and during the filming, I made my colleagues listen to the termer of that era and listen to them myself. Termer reflects the spirit and life of that time. Oriental miniatures also helped. Once such works were published with the support of the Academy of Sciences. Based on these studies, books of Abul Khair Shaibani's era have been released. They also contain miniatures. During this study, we understood how palaces, tents, drawings on the walls of buildings looked and what clothes they wore. We found and researched many works. The Museum of Abul Khan Kastev contains the works of Alkay Margulan, who studied history. We saw with our own eyes what the applied art of our people looked like. This is not what is shown now. For example, in Soviet cartoons, you can see patterns on clothes that in ancient times were applied only to wall carpets. The fact is that the patterns are different. There are ornaments that are applied only to tekke mat, felt carpet, and surmak, stitched felt floor covering, and they are not applied to clothing. This is a separate art. Since the 1920s, during the Soviet Union, especially when there was the Holodomor, the Kazakhs began to lose their genuine appearance. Only now, after gaining independence, we're just starting to revive all this, study and remember our history and culture, whether through the art of cinema or through the arts.
Енді өзіңіз білесіз, жалпы айтқанда тарихи фильмдер бар, байопиктар бар мысалы, иә.
As you know, there are historical films, biopics. Are they worth investing in?
18 миллион халық бар мемлекетте киноның қаржысын қайтару шынында да оңай шаруа емес.
In a country with 18 million population, it is very difficult to earn a return. If only the film is low budget, then it can be recouped. But it is very difficult to do this when making a big historical film. If this is possible, then this should be achieved not only through film distribution in the local market, but also through the sale of films to foreign TV channels. But the most important thing is not to recoup the film expenditures, but to show other countries, peoples, that there is such a country as ours, that we also have our own history. We need to create a national image. It is wrong to think only about the financial part. This is my opinion. If you want to invest and earn a return, focusing on profit, then you can shoot, for example, a comedy and recoup the investment.
Әңгіме нарық дегеннен шығады, жалпы өзіңіз білесіз, мысалы қандай да бір киноны түсіріп, оны...
You said about the market. There is an experience of selling films abroad. Why don't they work in Kazakhstan according to this scheme?
Өзім осы мамандықтың ішінде біраз жыл бойы жүрмін. Киноны түсіруін түсіріп жатырмыз. Бірақ сол киноны дұрыстап шетелге презентация жасап, оны...
I have been working in this area for many years. Yes, we make films, but to this day we cannot profitably sell our works on the global film industry market. Because selling film products is a separate profession. It is called distribution. When I was at the Cannes International Film Festival, I saw how 5-6 Korean companies united and altogether sold their films under one Korean flag. The Japanese had the same, the Indians too. Participants from Kazakhstan were on their own, each one separately. We do not have such a body that could unite us. Our people didn't even come to sell their product. They were satisfied only with the fact that they were in Cannes and felt somehow their involvement in the film market. But we still do not have such people who could profitably sell their films in this market. If we could coordinate, would it be useful?
Соған ақырындап келу керек. Бәріміз бірігіп, үлкен дистрибуциялық компаниялар бәрі қосылып, сондай фестивальдардың...
In fact, we have to come to this one day. The big distribution companies have to unite and participate in such big film markets. We shall show our films and sell them. This is a separate work, a separate sector of the market. We need national distribution companies that will sell on the international market not only films, but also documentaries, series produced in Kazakhstan. Such organizations should unite all companies that make films and represent our interests on an international platform. This is all a talk about coercion. Only coercion can lead to some income.
Сол бірліктің ар жағы кәдімгі жақсы тіршілікке айналу керек.
Әлгінде ғана өзіңіз комедия деген әңгіменің шетін шығардыңыз. Қазір көп адам кино түсіретін болды. енді атын
You mentioned comedies. How many comedies are filmed? As a professional filmmaker, how do you assess these works?
Шындап келген кезде көңіл толмайды, кәсіби жағынан. Бірақ енді нарықтан ақырындап қаражат жинап, содан пайда көріп жүрген адамдар бар. Енді өзі керуен жүре түзеледі деп ойлаймын.
To be honest, from a professional point of view, I cannot say that I'm satisfied with them. There are people who treat the film industry only as a source of income. But I think that over time, everything will change. I hope that comedy films will be made by professionals who have enough experience. Comedy is also a serious genre. Now there are young directors who develop it. I like some of them, but I can't say the same about others. But I think it is not necessary to name them by name. I hope this will change over time, because after the first job it is difficult to draw conclusions about the director. Only after the third film it makes sense to analyze and talk about whether the director perceives the creation of films as art or whether he is filming based only on financial interests. Therefore, comedies should be filmed and there should be competition. Then this genre will develop. The comedy genre cannot be neglected. It is also a big industry. For example, Charlie Chaplin is a comedy classic, the founder of this trend. Chaplin could make people laughing during the whole film and at the end make them cry. For example, when he gave flowers to a blind girl. The whole film is funny to you, and when you get to the point, you want to cry. He was a genius who has taken comedy to the next level. But personally, I would not work in the comedy genre, because this is a very difficult area. When my father was the chief editor of the Tamasha humor theater, I always went to this theater. I remember how the audience laughed, but I'm not ready to make comedy films myself. I think it's a very difficult genre. How do you select the actors? What is your main cast requirement?
Сценарий жазылған кезде кейбір кейіпкерді алдын ала көріп, алдын ала актердің кім болатынын білген кезде кейіпкердің мінез құлқын сол актердің өзінің мінез құлқына сай, түріне сай жазып шығаруға тырысасың.
Sometimes it happens that the characters and actors are defined even before the movie script is written. In such cases, the script itself is written according to the character of the actor. And if the script is ready and the actor has not yet been selected, then during the auditions we find those who are ideally suited for a particular role, when there is a 100% match. And you rejoice as if you found a treasure. When you find a suitable actor, it feels like your character revives, and inappropriate moments are corrected during filming, with makeup, explaining where and what to work on. You show the actor how he should behave so that there is maximum similarity with the character. Also, the film actor and the theater actor are different. For example, in the theater, actors perform far from the audience and therefore shout during their performance. And in filming, there is such a thing as a close-up, when an actor must convey this or that emotion that the hero is experiencing without words, through tears in the eyes or the movement of an eyebrow. Therefore, in the theater, actors have an intense makeup, so that the viewer can see the emotions on the actor's face. Ballerinas, for example, make long eyebrows so that facial expressions are noticeable. Cinema has a different nature, respectively, the requirements for the actors are different.
деген сияқты алыстан көрінуші. Кино деген, киноның табиғаты бөлек, сондықтан кинодағы актерға қойылатын мақсат театрдағыдай емес.
Sometimes they say that you are very strict. In other cases, it is said that you have gentle nature. What are you really like when you work?
Ең басты кинодағы мақсат, енді қанша жыл бойы осы мамандықпен айналысып келе жатырмыз, компромисске бармау.
In filming, the main quality is uncompromising. I've been doing this for a very long time. If you compromise, then you suffer from this later during editing. You regret that you have made concessions and could have done otherwise.
Есің қайтып монтажды қалай жасаймын деп қиналып қаласың. Сондықтан ешқандай компромиске бармайсың. Ол актердің
You just don't have to make any compromise. There is no need to look at the mood of the actors, at their condition, etc. If you go out on film set, there will be no compromise until you reach the director's goal. Until you show the final result that the director wants to see, you will do everything, even if you have to shoot 5 to 6 takes. Some take offense at this. And after the end of filming, the attitude towards the actors changes. I become kind to the whole set. Also, if everything does not go according to the plan, then it happens that you have to speak harshly, be harsh. But then after filming, you ask for forgiveness. It happens sometimes. It's a workflow. This is all done with the aim of achieving the ultimate goal.
Кадрдың ішінде өзіңнің қойған мақсатыңа жету үшін жасалатын нәрселер.
Бізде Қазақстанда түсіріліп жатқан кино туындыларға қатысты.
Do you hear some professional criticism towards the local movies? If not, what should it be?
Кинода конструктивті шынайы сын жетіспейді, себебі кино сыншы деген ол кәдімгі үлкен мамандық.
Indeed, our filmmaking lacks real constructive criticism, because a film critic is a profession. They defend doctoral dissertations. For example, when I participated in the Asiatic Film Mediale Festival in Rome, I received the famous award from Tadao Sato. And then he said, "We analyze your films. Our film critics examine the work of each director and give an opinion on who is shooting at what level." And we have practically no such film critics. A film critic is as much a separate profession as a director. There are bad critics and talented critics and real critics. We really lack real critics as professionals. In general, in the era of the internet, each person expresses his opinion. But all this cannot be taken as criticism because this is a subjective opinion based on the personal views of everyone.
Интернет арқылы өзінің ой пікірін жазып жатады, оны бірақ сын деп, сыншы деп қабылдауға болмайды. Ол әр адамның өткен өзінің ойы ғана.
Have your films been criticized by professionals?
Өз киномды кейде талдаймын. Уақыт өткенге, әсіресе киноны түсіріп біткеннен кейін, біраз уақыттан кейін
In fact, I myself sometimes analyze my own films, especially when the work is finished and after a while you watch your film as a viewer. After some time, there is a feeling that you did not take part in this film at all. Then ideas come that in one moment or another it could have been done differently, or develop this story somehow differently. It's all a matter of time. Professional film critics are really needed. As Tadao Sato said, someone should analyze each movie and write a conclusion.
Жиналып, Азия құрлығындағы 100 режиссердің тізімін жасады. Киносыншылар. Сол 100 режиссердің қатарына біз де кірдік. Шәкен Айманов.
In 2015, Asian film critics created a list of 100 Asian directors. Among them, there are only 3 Kazakhstan's directors. There are Shaken Aymanov, me, and one young director. This is the opinion of real film critics, and I'm happy with it. As Ardar Kamikulov, who shot The Death of Atra, jokingly said, "I love critics who praise me. I hate critics who criticize me." So it turns out, when you see that the criticism was expressed adequately, you accept it. You will probably agree that now there are practically no musicals, movies for children and the younger generation. Yes, there are no musicals for children either. Is this really so, or I am just not familiar with them?
Сол жанрларды дамыту керек. Оны кәдімгі музыкада репертуар дейді ғой. Репертуарный политика дейді. Идеологиялық тұрғыдан
Yes, in fact, these genres need to be developed. There is also a repertoire policy. From the point of view of ideology, if you want to develop the film industry, the budget should be allocated through tenders. Now everything is gradually changing. In the future, depending on the trend of the times, such movies should be filmed. After all, money is allocated to the fund, and they must indicate where and what is missing. For example, figure out expenditures for children's movies, youth films, or animation films. You're right, the movie scripts yourself. Do we lack professional screenwriters now, or are you doing it because you like it? Actually, screenwriters are writers. They can write beautifully the script, write literary, but when it comes to filmmaking, if you do not do it yourself, it will not work out very well. The screenplay differs from a literary work. It is a separate sector. Sometimes dramatists do not visually perceive or understand the script as it should be, because many scenes must be seen on film and words alone cannot convey them. Only the director understands this. Therefore, you have to do it independently. If we talk about the literary part, then I have nothing against it. I work with them on the language side. After all, Kazakh is a difficult language. So if a good literary critic works with you, then this will only benefit. What script are you working on now? Now I am working on several movie scripts, but in the near future we plan to make a film about the Holodomor. Now we are studying, we are doing research a lot, because this is a very complicated topic. The system, previous era, different circumstances, all should be taken into account. Previously, we were not given the opportunity to talk about this difficult period, and now the time has come and there are opportunities. What influence did the name of your father, Rustem Abdrash, have on your achievements?
Жасымыз 30-ға келгенше көп көзге көріне бермей, өз жұмысымызды жасасақ та, бірақ енді шынын айту керек, көлеңкесінде болып қалғандай жағдайлар да болды. Себебі қай жерге бармасаң, мектеп жасынан бастап сен Abdrash деген кезде...
For a long time, I was in the shadow of my father. I didn't stand out, even if I had success, because hearing my surname, everywhere people guess whether I am the son of Rustem Abdrash. You must behave well because you are the son of a poet. I always hear such words since childhood, and it continues to this day even when the father is no longer alive. This is a great responsibility, and we try not to tarnish the father's name. My father died at the age of 52. He left young. I understand that only now. I'm now 50, and indeed, for a creative person it seems that you are still only at the foot of the mountain. He probably still had many unrealized ideas and poems that he did not write.
Әдемі өлеңнің ырғақтары дүниеге келмей кетті ғой деп кейде өкінесің.
When we talk about your father's poems, the lines come to mind. Understand me, son, understand me. I look like the sun, but inside I'm the storm.
Осы құлыптас кітабын дайындап жазып кеткенде сол Сор топырақ поэмасы дүниеге келген болады.
These are lines from the poem Сор топырақ, from the book Kulpetas. This is his last poem. When he finished work on this book, he called me in the morning and read it to me. It is connected with the Aral tragedy, with his relatives living there. We can say that this is a philosophical, psychological, mystical poem. It has not been sufficiently studied in literature. I think there will be more research in the future. This poem is not an easy one.
Жазылады деп ойлаймын, өйткені кәдімгі өте күрделі поэма.
What covenant did your father leave you? How strictly do you adhere to it, and were you able to fulfill it?
Орындап келе жатырмыз деп айта аламын.
I think I'm in the process of performing. The last time he told me to be faithful to the art of cinema and continue to shoot. Take it as art, he said. And I work in this area.
Уақытыңызды бөліп бізге сұхбат берген.
Thank you for the interview. We wish you good luck. Thank you.